Hey everybody, this week's tip of the week brought to you by our good friends up at Mike's Country Meats, the finest jerky on the planet. You know what? We travel a lot of miles between the boat and the truck. We put on an average of about 40 to 45,000 miles a year. Tire pressure on both trailer and on the truck are very important. Obviously, safety is a big thing. Who wants to be on the side of the road because their tires were underinflated and blew out? And the other part is wear. You know, obviously, tires are very expensive, so that is a big thing right there. So proper tire pressure is really crucial, and it only takes a second. Just you can go into any of the stores and buy yourself a good tire pressure gauge. And it says on each tire how many pounds of pressure they should have in them. Simple to do. This one right here, I'm running at about 80 pounds, and that's exactly what it should be set at. Hey everybody, again, this week's tip of the week brought to you by our good friends up at Mike's Country Meats, the finest jerky on the planet. Hey everybody, welcome back to our show this week. Like I do every week, we are out and about somewhere, but this week we are in a very special place and we're with our good friend Joe Henry. Joe, I'll tell you what, anytime that you say to me, you want to come up to Lake of the Woods and do some filming, I usually do not hesitate. I'll tell you, the great part that I like, and I told you this last night when we got in, I love because it's such a great drive. You know, it's about 8 hours from my farm in Berlin to get up here, but it's all very scenic all the way up here. And once you get up here, no matter, there's so many different resorts, and we've stayed at several of them. The accommodations, the people, I mean, just to me, there's a lot of really great fisheries, and especially when it comes to walleye fishing, but it's really about the atmosphere. And something about Lake of the Woods and the atmosphere that's provided here is very special.
Our fishery right now is second to none. There are so many fish in here, Larry, and you know, I think one of the cool things is you talk about our resorts. If somebody wants to pull their own boat up, man, God bless you, we got resorts where you can do the self-serve thing and go on the inexpensive, and you can really have a reasonable trip.
Right.
Now, at the same time, if you don't fish much or you don't want to pull your boat that far.
And that's what we decided to do on this trip here, is to actually leave our Warrior at home and just drive up. And I've never done the charter boat thing. I told you, I said, Joel, the last couple of years, I definitely one of these years, I want to go out and experience. I see these charter boats coming out of the Rainy River like crazy. Yep. I see people coming back with smiles, happy. I mean, I want to have that experience.
Well, I'll tell you what, so if you're intimidated by big water, if you don't have your own boat, if you just want to make life easy, you know, you come to a nice resort, you have a nice breakfast like we did today.
Certainly did.
You step aboard at 8 o'clock in the morning. There's a licensed charter captain that's going to do everything for you. They're going to navigate, put you on fish, watch the weather. The rods, reels, tackle, bait, everything's provided, even the fish cleaning. There's two things you gotta think about.
Okay.
What should I wear and what should I eat? Otherwise, you just catch walleyes. My fishing report said they're literally catching walleyes anywhere from 4 to 30 feet of water. And of course, the reason for that, as you know, as a tournament angler and guide, not every walleye in the system's doing the same thing. They're keying on different kind of forage. We got so much forage in this lake. They have different pools or different schools of walleyes doing different things. You know, and I'll tell you what, we're on Big Traverse Bay right now. You know, Larry, there's 3 parts of Lake of the Woods. People get intimidated because it's so darn big, but in essence, you got number 1, the Rainy River. That feeds Lake of the Woods. That's a good fishery in its own right. In fact, we're talking to some guides this morning that were talking about the walleyes and pike they're catching.
The pike really interests me. When you start talking about 40-inch pike one after another, I'm like, yeah.
The second part is Big Traverse Bay, and this is a big open water of Lake of the Woods, which we are on now. And you know, this is about 30 miles north-south by about 25 miles east-west.
That's
big water,
big.
you know.
Yeah.
And then the third part is that northwest angle, and that's that little tip of Minnesota that sticks up into Canada.
You know, the pike fishing up there, the muskie fishing, muskie, and that definitely interests me right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm crazed right now. Let's shut up and let's do some fishing. All right, everybody, hang on to your heinies. What's that jig? Orange and yellow. What color, Jim? What do you got on there? You son of a buck! You told me it was gold was the color. At least you're not like a lot of charter captains. You have your own special stash of bait underneath your seat right there. Care how big they are. It's worth $5. Joel, there you go. Stand back, folks. Here we go. Oh yeah. Getting a little bigger. I don't like to start off the morning right away with just catching 20 inches. I work my way up. That's what it's all about. And you know, we got a little numbers going here with Joe and I. It was the first fish. Now it's either the biggest fish.
What number is that?
That's number 3, baby. Joe's got one. Nicer fish. There you go. That's a good one, Joe.
Nice fish there.
I'll take that.
I'll take that for the box. That's actually a sauger too, I think, Larry.
That's a nice sauger.
Nice sauger.
When you think about Lake of the Woods and you think of the tremendous amount of forage that it takes to feed this massive population of not just walleyes, I mean, it's amazing smallmouth, great perch fishing, they got great crappie fishing. There's really not a species this body of water doesn't have in numbers. You know, everybody comes here and fishes walleyes, but there is so many other different species, and anything you really want to catch and fish for, it's here to take advantage of. Why don't you show us how you hook the shiner? Obviously, when they're froze like that, or they're on thawed here, you know, there's a whole different way as far as how you hook that bait.
Taking an emerald shiner, this is a huge forage fish for walleyes and saugers in Lake of the Woods. So what I'm going to do is, instead of hooking it normally, I'm going to have that whole minnow hanging off, and they can bite half that minnow, and I'm not going to hook them. Right. So I want to increase my odds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the jig right through the mouth, out the gill.
Okay.
I'm going to slide it out the gill like this, and then what I'll do is I'll put that as far as I can on the jig. Then I'm going to hook it right through the middle there. Now I got that.
You got that hook placement way back there.
Almost halfway back. And the thing of it is that we're fishing stained water of Lake of the Woods. Water is a little coffee color to it. So they're not so temperamental. They're definitely going to hit this, and I'm going to get a lot better hook set.
Here we go. This feels like a good fish. I just went back to a leech too and dropped it down there. And that's a good fish. I'll take that. Thank you, Mr. Joe Henry. Now every time I come here, I always have to ask. I know you said it before, but is there a size limit on the walleyes?
Yeah, there is. You know what? So everything 19 and a half to 28 inches, you got to put them back.
Okay.
And that's for sustainability of the fishery.
Right.
You're allowed to keep a combined limit of walleyes and saugers of 6.
Okay.
19 and a half to 28 go back and keep 1 over 20 at a day.
What are you thinking? Was that jig or?
Thinking net.
You're thinking net, huh? Oh, that's a good fish. Nice job. So let's talk a little bit about what you did. You went with a little bit lighter weight on there because we don't have as much wind. I'm not going to let you get away with this stuff, Joe.
We got a little bit of a breeze, but it's not a lot of breeze. So I simply just went to a little bit lighter weight, which is no big deal, honestly. But I put on a little different blade. I decided to put a little pink on and did the trick.
Hey, Joe, you know the incredible part about Lake of the Woods? Obviously, this is just a massive system, but you know, it's kind of one of them things where I don't know if it's just me or it's just one of them kind of things where there's so many spots to fish. So you make one pass over a spot. If you don't see really what you want, it's just one of them kind of things, you know, obviously you try a few different techniques as you're going over these fish, but you just jump to the next spot. You don't have sheepshead, right? You don't have carp. I mean, so it's amazing that, I mean, if something's biting on the end of your liner, it's probably something that if you want a table fare, it's table fare.
And you know, the funny thing about Lake of the Woods is look at even where we fished today. Some spots have been better than others, but we've caught in just about every spot.
He didn't even tell us he had a fish. He forgot we were filming a TV show and he's got a nice one. Next one. Here we go, Joe. Yep, I went with that back to a spinner like you said too. There you go. Yeah, I love, you know, it's a cool part about saugers is I love the color on them. I always say that a sauger hits a little bit harder, and I always like the facial expressions on a sauger. There's certain places in the country I love to eat fish out of, and Winnebago is my favorite, and I'd say Lake of the Woods is right there. You know, I mean, just the fish out of here, I think because they eat a lot of shiners and a lot of crawfish, that they absolutely are delicious. Nice sauger. When you start looking for like quality eating fish, you know, these little 14-inch saugers are absolutely delicious.
Oh, look at that one.
Oh, that's a nice fish. Loving that. Well, I'm glad he's not in on our bet here. My biggest for sure. Yeah, that's a nice fish. Whoa, nice job, Joel.
Barely got him on.
Awesome. You know, you were right though. You know, you and Jim were talking about them fish moving right up on the shelf right there. And definitely before we came in, we were drifting. We started off in about 20, came right up to about 13, and Jim had popped that real nice walleye, and you caught one too there. So now we're just kind of moving on this structure. And a lot of times it's not unusual for these fish, even though there's not a lot of wind, these fish to move up on these high spots because there's nobody else out here.
Well, nobody else out here. Not only that, we have stained water.
Yeah.
The water's got that tint to it, so it's not gin clear. So we're on a big charter boat, and we're catching them in. Right now, I think we're in 10 feet of water. So.
And you got this engine running,
yeah,
moving it around like it's a trolling motor, and it still doesn't affect them. Is that on the spinner still?
I saw me.
Oh, that's a nice fish. That is, oh, Jojo! Nice job, my friend. No, you got to explain to me, because I said the wind just died down, and I'm going to go back to a jig, because I didn't think my spinner was moving very much, and you were pulling that spinner up, and you actually saw that fish come up and grab it right before you lifted it out of the water.
I actually made a cast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I cast away from the boat because our spinners aren't moving, we're hardly drifting.
Yep.
So I wanted to get it moving a little bit. So I got away from the boat a little bit and kept it coming in, and as I was pulling it up, I could see just a couple feet down, and this fish came up and munched it. And I'll tell you, Larry, I feel good about letting a fish like this go. And this is why Lake of the Woods has so many darn fish. I mean, look, this is what, the 5th spot we've been, and we're catching fish in almost every spot.
That's cool. Here we go. Tell you what, I went back to a spinner, and it's a decent fish there for sure. I'll take that. It's a nice one. Hey, so we're actually fishing in front of Basta Creek, you're calling it.
Morts Point Gap.
Okay, and there's quite a bit of current coming out of here, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. We've had high water this year, so we got water coming out of the Rainier River to the east. We got water coming out of Bostic here, and obviously that sets up some good fishing spots.
People that watch our show are always looking for a new adventure in a very family-oriented environment. The cool part about Lake of the Woods is that there's so many different resorts and so many different experiences by going to the different resorts. I've been to probably about 7 or 8 different resorts, and you say it all the time, everyone is different.
We have everything from Airbnbs and VRBOs to cute little resorts, hotels, and big resorts that are full service with all the amenities you can imagine. And Larry, I mean, if you want to bring your wife and stay in a place that's real kind of fancy and new, you can do that. If you're staying with a group of gals or a group of guys and you just want to stay in a nice clean cabin that's on the edge of the water, I mean, there's something for everybody, truly. It might always be a good idea to go out the first day on a charter boat. You get to learn the layout, the techniques, you get to see where you're going, the ins and outs. You can ask your captain a lot of questions. He'd be more than willing to tell you the stuff that you need to be able to fish rest of your time here to be successful. Asking questions like, hey, I got my own boat up, I wanted to go with you, for one day. If you were me, based on where I'm staying, what would you do? Pulling spinners is gonna be hot all summer long. People are gonna start pulling crankbaits all summer long, and you're gonna catch fish on both techniques well into September. September, jigging starts kicking in as the cold water begins again, and we chase those walleyes all year long with success. And what's gonna happen this fall then, Larry, is we get the annual Shiner run up the Rainy River. Hey, just so you know, it's 11-7, right? Okay, I better pick it up. Right. It was 11-7, now it's gonna be 12-7, my friend. Another nice walleye. Hey, I'll take that all day long like that. Absolutely perfect eating fish. And it's always kind of nice to come up here, have a fish fry, enjoy the atmosphere. I don't mind going into the lodges at night too, and just good conversation with the people too. Another one, a good one. I got a good one. Oh, it was a branch. Oh, look at that. Oh, I was in such a hot streak. I thought for sure I had a nice one there. I'm thinking number 13. It's going to be 7-13. That was a good fish. You're talking to a professional, right? I know the difference between a rock and a walleye. No doubt that fish is over 28 inches. Can tell by the teeth pattern. Boy, I tell you, that Joe Henry guy, man, it's amazing when he's down. When he's down, he gets fierce. He gets jealous, Good net fish. Woo, loving it. Nice fish. Woo, Jojo, did you change your blade? I did. You did, see? Just by changing your blade or changing your technique, how boom, you put it back down or automatically you get bit. But again, a bright color. And again, dark water too, right? Yep. That's looking pretty good in there. I'll tell you what we're doing now is we're actually pulling spinners, and there's a couple of keys to pulling spinners. What's going on is Jim's actually kicking the boat in and out of gear to keep us at the right speed. But the key for me is always to use a type of super braid, just so it's a lot more sensitive. I don't want that sinker dragging bottom, but I want it super tight to bottom. So I'm constantly going back and forth. And what we're doing is we're actually going from anywhere from down to about 14 to 16 feet, and we're coming back up to 8. I'm using, oh, there we go. That's a nice fish. We're just using a mono
spinner with the small spinner on there. This harness is actually a 3-hook harness. Nice little fish right there. And a lot of times you can use a single, if you're gonna go with just a piece of crawler, use a single hooked harness. Typically what I'm doing is I'm using a whole crawler when I'm using a 3-hook harness like that. Different types of blades. Oh, Jim, what do you got going there?
I figured I could sneak one by you.
When you take a crawler, a lot of times out of the cooler, it's gonna be real stiff. So what I always do is I always hook it right through the nose. The second hook, what I do is I wanna make sure that there's always slack in the harness. Again, I repeat the same thing. I wanna make sure that the line's not tight, but there's slack in that harness. So when that crawler actually hits the water, what happens is he's gonna stretch out. If the harness is tight right away, the crawler's not gonna be able to spin at all. So my line is always at a 45, and I'm constantly checking to make sure that that bait is tight to bottom, but again, not dragging bottom.
Built for fishermen, built by fishermen. Really, that says it all.
It's the family here. It's not a big conglomerate, it's a family.
They treat you feel like you're in a family, you know.
When you put those two together, an amazing product and amazing people, it's just the type of company you want to be involved with.
Not only because of just the great boats, but because of the camaraderie that the Warrior family has.
The customer service is amazing. They never leave you hanging.
So come join the Warrior family.
Chef Josh here with Leroy Lunches, Mayville Meeting Place. Today we are featuring our bacon wrapped cheese stuffed mushrooms available at Leroy Meats of Horicon and Fox Lake. I power bake these in my oven at 350 degrees and we're going to throw them on the grill to finish them off. We're just going to place these on the grill, cover them up, we're going to come back in about 5 minutes. Now pull these off, they're ready. Nice grill mark on the bottom. All right, right off the grill, ready to go. Enjoy. Bacon wrapped cheese mushrooms available at Leroy Meats, Horicon, and Fox Lake. Get them now.
We wanted to cover some water, and we don't have enough wind right now to cover water, so the charter captain, Jim, is just kicking the boat in and out of gear. It's a big prop, so we can't keep it going like a little trolling motor. We kick it into gear, we get a surge, and then he backs off, and we kind of come to almost a halt, and then he kicks it into gear, and we surge again. That keeps these spinners moving. You know, when they're spinning like that, not only does it flash, but it's vibration. You know, a lot of time those walleyes with that lateral line, they'll sense their prey before they ever see it, especially in stained water.
One thing you just caught my interest on is that your sturgeon season opens, when does it open?
Yeah, so sturgeon, you know, we fish sturgeon, you know, well into May. Actually, we fish them all spring to May 15th, and then the sturgeon season closes, so they can reproduce.
Okay.
It opens up again July 1st, and you know, when it opens up on Lake of the Woods, you can keep, when it's the keep season, we have a catch and release season. We got to, you know, obviously catch and release them, and then we have a keep season. And if you do the keep season, you buy a sturgeon tag, almost like a deer tag.
Yeah.
It's $5. And
that's it.
Then you can keep one sturgeon between 45 to 50 inches, or you keep one over 75 inches. And I'll tell you, the sturgeon population is so strong, the DNR says it doesn't hurt them one iota to keep one of those big fish. And at one point in time, Lake of the Woods produced some of the most caviar of any destination in the entire world.
I didn't
right
know
out
that.
of here.
A lot of it must have to do with the Rainy River, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a huge success story. I'll tell you what, back in the day, you know, the Rainy River used to be not as pristine as it is now. In fact, the paper mill in Iowa Falls would put, back in the day, they would just put a lot of pulp and everything. In fact, you'd have to, when you're fishing, Larry, you'd have to pull your line out and clean it once in a while. You could actually walk on 2-3 feet of pulp on the shoreline. That's how much pulp was there.
That's sick.
And that was not good for the sturgeon fishing. So what happened was the Clean Water Act kicked in.
Okay.
And then at one point in time, the Clean Water Act kicked in and got some teeth. And I'll tell you, when that happened, everybody was forced on the river to clean their act up. And all of a sudden, that pulp started going away. Sturgeon started coming back.
Hey Joe, I told you that I always wanted to come out and try the charter boats here on Lake of the Woods, and what an awesome day we had. You know, it was cool because, you know what, Jim didn't hold us in one spot. Every spot we went to, we caught fishing, and we got to see a lot of different scenery, got to fish a lot of different structure. We fished a lot of sand, we fished a lot of gravel, we went and fished some reefs. You know, so it was it was pretty cool just to experience what we experienced today. And like you're saying, no doubt what a great opportunity for people that want to come to Lake of the Woods that don't want to bring their boat up, or if they want to bring the boat up and haven't been here before, what a great way to come out and learn the techniques, learn how to get in and out of things. You know, it's just a great experience.
Tell you what, there's not a lot of places in the world that you can go on a nice charter boat and go walleye fishing. These are good captains, they're passionate about fishing, they're gonna do everything they can to get you on fish.
I saw a lot of families out today, and that to me hits a home run always.
Well, let's face it, there's a lot of people that they didn't grow up fishing, yet they want to get their kids out fishing. And they want to, you know, this is a perfect example because you don't need equipment or the know-how. All you have to do is just book at one of our resorts. They take care of the rest, literally.
If people are looking for great information, you are dialed in on that. Tell them how they can check it out.
You know, the best way, we have such a good website. Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Hey, it's all about having a great time and enjoying the outdoors. We want to definitely give special thanks to all of our military men and women for the great service that they have given this country and continue to give this country. No doubt we also want to thank all of our firefighters, paramedics, and especially all of our law enforcement agents for their service. Remember, we still are living in the greatest country in the world, and no doubt it is a great day to be alive. And the best part is, besides it starting to rain, we're going to see you guys again next week, and thanks for joining us. You know what, Joe, you know what a sauger reminds me of? It reminds me of a redhead, right? A walleye's like a brunette, where it's kind of just subtle. A sauger is like, come on. Nope, I'm just talking to him. Typically, I don't talk to him. I don't believe that fish are social some days. I love it. All right, now we're going for, yep.